Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be at the Idaho Medical School, turning out new doctors here in the Gem State. Looking forward to that. And really want to thank our friends at CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru for promoting our schools, securing our future. Another season in the books, rolling right along, getting ready for Miller's Mission here. And that will be November 12th through the 17th. Once again, living at the Walmart Garrity in Franklin. If you missed anything, what an incredible program we've had today. And I want to thank Dr. Ahlquist for calling in, Mike Miniger, he's going to call back. Apparently, David Bozell is missing in action, so we'll roll right along. We'll go to Max in Garden City. Max, you're to the front of the line. Good morning.
Good morning. Good Lord, I hope I don't get in trouble for what I want to talk about. And I'm going to try to word it very carefully because I don't want to be censored. I have a number of friends and family from China who are visiting me. They've been here for about 10 days, and they're getting ready to wrap it up. And they've watched a lot of TV while I'm away. They noticed that all of the security commercials, alarm systems, any of these that warn you about danger from criminals, every single one is portraying Caucasian Americans as the criminals. Now, in a country where over 70% of such crimes are committed by fewer than 6% of the American population, it seems to me a terrible misrepresentation. Are we so afraid of painting anyone of color anywhere, anything other than great? Are we so afraid of that? Have we become so kowtowed that we don't dare show even an equal representation?
Well, you take a look at, you ever read Tom Clancy's novels?
Not really.
All right. Well, I know you're a best-selling author, so you don't want to plug anybody else, but
Well,
Clancy had the sum of all fears, and the terrorists there were of Middle Eastern descent. They did a movie, and they were like German, Russian Nazis or something irrelevant. It's being politically correct. What made 24, that old series with Jack Bauer and Kiefer Sutherland, so good was that he went after the people from the Middle East. And people were going, well, it's profiling. They had enough guts to do that. I mean, because those are the real people that are trying to kill us. Not all, but to your point, Homeland in its first 2 or 3 years, the same thing. But today, we don't want to do that. It's always the neo-fascists or the Russians. My personal favorite, and you're going to love this, you remember Red Dawn?
I remember both versions.
Sure. Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, and Wolverines and all that.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about it here. This was when you were still in China. Well, Hollywood was so afraid of offending the Chinese that they switched the Chinese invading America, which would have been a great, great movie, to the North Koreans that can't even afford a plane for their dear leader. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
I remember when that happened, the movie came out. Remember that the production house and distributor were over 20% owned by the Communist Party of Beijing through Taihu Inc.
Well, like I said, the Chinese are running things.
Well, they have purchased key industries. They've bought well into the media at all levels. I guess just what kills me was that one social comment by my brother-in-law. He said, "Oh, I've watched so much of your TV commercialing," and he said, "White people must be very dangerous." He said, "No, let's go to the FBI and the internet. Let's find the real figures." I showed them to him. He was aghast.
I'll tell you.
He couldn't believe it.
You know who used to be dangerous? I used to be dangerous.
Well, you know what? My danger goes by putting somebody in the next book and vilifying them. Because once I vilify you in my book, I got you. It may be on the dollar shelf at Walmart, but your name will be held forever for ill.
Look, it's hard to be dangerous when you dress up as a turkey every year to ask people to give a turkey, not be a turkey. It's a very humbling thing. You're never going to be confused with being Chuck Norris or
Kevin,
The Rock.
you are my favorite turkey.
And my parents are so proud, Max.
Well, they should be, and I'm proud. In fact, when you're down there in Nampa at the Walmart with this turkey campaign and getting the donations where they're needed, I will swing on by once again, as I have every time since I came to America, and I'll say hello to you. But you know what I'd really like you to do?
We don't have to email each other then, do we?
Oh, but I'd like you to return a phone call because I have something I cannot discuss on the air, but I think you'll find it a very exciting proposition. Would you call me? You have my number.
You're propositioning me.
Yeah, I sure am, baby. Oh, such a pain. Stop it.
Thank you. Thank you, Max.
Call me, buddy.
All right. Thank you. God bless. Exactly. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So we had Mike Minniger on. We had Tommy Ahlquist on, Dr. Ahlquist on last hour. And then I go to Mike. I go, hey, we've got David Bozell. And Bozell's at the dentist. So we'll reschedule him some other time. I love talking to David Bozell, but maybe you don't. So this show, again, is about you. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
The Democrats have become too extreme, and they've become, frankly, too dangerous to govern. They've gone wacko.
No, that's a very good point by the president. They really have become too dangerous to govern. Now, a lot of liberal and progressives that called me and this show and you right-wing extremists will go, yes, they're mean. Could you imagine if Donald Trump said the following, that our former attorney general said?
When they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
There we have it. Not to be outdone, our friend Maxine Waters, well, she has this to say.
They're trying to change the description of protest and call it a mob.
Right.
We cannot allow Donald Trump and anybody else to take protest away from us and to deem it to be violent and to try and make us look like a mob.
Well, if the shoe fits, Maxine, wear it. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Now you got the head of the Ada County Republicans. He was out, and he went and hung out with the folks there in a similar time. I call them the unwashed masses, but they can dish it out, but they can't take it. So he's got a sign there of Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, they come up to him, rip the head off the president, start screaming at him, yelling profanities. And I've been studying this for a few days. You do have a right to protest peacefully. And you shouldn't be harassed or spit on or yelled at. And so I'm watching Mr. Davidson, who I've followed for years, has been on this program for years. And you have these young people coming up to him, screaming at him, like emotionally losing their minds. And in my own humble opinion, to me, something's wrong with them. And in another time, I would accuse them of being off their meds, but that would be insensitive and mean. So I won't say that, in my opinion, they were off their meds. And trying to provoke him, and you have, in a cowardly move here, you have them, females coming up to him, screaming at him, like trying to pick a fight with him. And then when he calmly says, I've got a right to be here, these other people come up. And again, I would say the unwashed masses, but that's in our, the time before censorship, and physically getting in his way. And I don't know if you caught Channel 7. I mean, everybody watches Channel 7. You got our friend Joe Parrish. He's trying to do a live shot, and they're attacking Joe Parrish on Channel 7, trying to get in front of the camera. And then the odd thing about these people, those people, is after they screamed and yelled at Mr. Davidson, what did they do? They went and hugged the chief offender as if she needed some reinforcement. And as I said, if we ever face a real crisis, and I pray every night for you, and I pray for America, I pray for those that, like our friend Terry, battling illness, that we don't face a major crisis. The one thing about the greatest generation, the many things, is, as pictured at the World War II memorial, these ordinary Americans saved the world. You know, last hour we were talking about sacrifices of parents. But to leave your family and possibly not come back because you believed in the cause. America is good. Today, kids are taught America's bad. Columbus, bad. In the old days, America, good. Today, America, bad. And you see the offspring of this propaganda. And in the city of Boise, I mean, look, we had like 10 people with the Black Lives Matter protest. Remember protesting the police several years ago? And I think to myself, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, that's why I always harp on keeping the show. They would like this show to go away. Trust me. And the people that support this show, I appreciate you more than I ever have ever in any other show in my 23, 24 years of doing this. Because it's easy to go, oh, I'd rather just watch sports. Well, sports has become political. I understand people have better things to do. But we're at a point here. Trump didn't destroy the Death Star. In fact, there are 3 or 4 more of them. They haven't given up. They were so close with Obama. They were so close with Obama. And now they're mad. And they're angry. And whether you live in Boise or in the Treasure Valley or Idaho or in America, you have a right to speak. You have a right to have a picture of the President of the United States without some misinformed thug, male or female, ripping that and attacking you. It's just how it is. It is mob rule, Maxine. There is no excuse for that. You know, some of my favorite sayings to my younger colleagues here in the broadcast center. Act like you've been there before. And as someone once said to me, and maybe they've said this to you, if you're not going to say something in front of your parents, your boss, your grandparents, then don't say it. You know, the idea that we could smear a good man, and now the Democrats saying, well, as soon as we get back in, we'll take care of the civility. You're right. Because they'll continue to destroy the voices of freedom. Sean Hannity talks about this day in and day out. I have followed Sean from his very beginnings in Athens, Alabama. He talks about it all the time. I had the benefit of working there after Sean Hannity. And we used to have the high ground. And we have 2 versions of America today. This one.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and or the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength.
The Democrats have become too extreme. And they've become, frankly, too dangerous to govern. They've gone wacko.
I would agree.
No peace until they get their way. More of these unhinged tactics.
That's a good point. This is Mitch McConnell, by the way, on KIDO Talk Radio. They are unhinged.
Apparently, this is the left's rallying cry.
The unhinged left. And if you have a friend that's a Democrat, I'd politely ask him, do you agree with Eric Holder's comments? It's time to start kicking. Go low, kick low. Hillary Clinton's comments I think that's really what needs to be asked of all Democrats, particularly those in Idaho. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
He's better be careful what he's wishing
What do you
for.
mean?
That's a disgusting statement for him to make. For him to make a statement like that is a very dangerous statement.
There we have it. The president talking about Eric Holder's statements, which is what we're discussing here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You remember this young lady.
How we explain that when someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
There we have it. Okay, that was Michelle Obama talking about that. So Eric Holder, if you missed it, is urging people to take to the streets, and say, we're the new Democratic Party, and we're going to go to fisticuffs.
You know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
I don't know. I think eventually, unfortunately, words are going to lead to action. 825 with Kevin Miller on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Coming up, Paulette Jordan and scooters. Unrelated, but we'll try to make it work before 8:30. Traffic and weather together.
Zurich Everett.
And Kevin Miller in the morning here. You know, it's funny. We don't have a lot of controversies, at least for now. By the way, I want to thank Lee Joe for inviting me to this. There's a new Facebook group, and hopefully you heard about it here first, and it's for California refugees that are moving to Idaho. And they're going to have a big meetup, and if you go to my personal Facebook, I've shared the link, thanks to Lee Joe, who let me in on it, and it's a meeting of former people from California now living in Idaho, California refugees, if you want. I bet our news media will cover that. And really, they should. I guess it's going to be in Garden City. But you take a look at the news that we have here, and we're very blessed to live in a place where, at least a long time ago, we didn't have a lot of shootings. Sure, when the economy goes bad, people rob banks here, but really nobody gets hurt. I want to thank our men and women and their families in law enforcement. We've had some unfortunate police shootings, officer-involved shootings, and we should never, ever let down our guard when it comes to protecting our great society here. But the scooter controversy, right? Meridian throws out scooters, the motorized scooters or what have you, scooters vandalized. Boise is going to look at it. Meridian's going to study what Boise does. Look, Meridian, you don't need Boise to tell you what to do. You know, you've got scooters in Portland, if you've been there, where you've got 2 or 3 scooter companies, and they're trying to be the most politically correct. Am I the only one that thinks this is dumb? In Washington, D.C., a young man by the name of Dale Jackson, he's a really successful talk show host in Huntsville, Alabama. He goes to me one morning and goes, man, I'm sorry I'm late. I almost killed myself the other night. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was hanging out with the Bright Bar people and decided to grab one of those scooters, and I almost ran into a fence. Now, again, scooters are for kids. Do we really want to continue to increase the likelihood of accidents by having people scooting when they should be walking? Think about this for a minute. I mean, we already have issues with health. Hello, poster child here. And what do we want to do? Encourage people to walk. So now these scooters have become a public menace. We have enough trouble handling bike riders. By the way, I'm so happy that bike riding season is over, because I'm scared that these militant bike riders, not all of them, but some, they just go crazy and believe that they have the right of way everywhere. You know, that's when accidents happen, unfortunately. And we're getting to the season where we're ending having dogs in the back of pickup trucks. If I could change one thing in the state, I would make a law against that. But back to the scooters. So Meridian allowed the scooters in for a day or two, didn't like them, gave them the boot. Now we have scooters going in Boise. Why in the world do we need that? I like the idea like they have in other big cities that Boise is doing where you can, get a bicycle and ride around and be like Mayor Beater because he rides his bike. Good for him. But the whole scooter thing, how in the world can scooters enhance our lives? And this is, if somebody is listening to me, monitoring us in another state, they're going, this is not a serious talk show if you're talking about scooters. And they would be correct. But this is one of the big things. I just think they're not worth the investment. Now, maybe the cities get money to have people scooting around, but they should be walking. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you're going to have scooters in the street and all sorts of things. It's crazy, but my mind is no to scooters. And I'm trying to keep a straight face about it. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
Let's go to Garden City and Ben. Good morning. Thanks for your patience. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Kevin. Hey, I enjoy your show, and I agree with most of what I hear you say. But
here it comes.
When I heard you say that if you could make a law that would outlaw dogs being in the back of trucks, it kind of got me thinking a little bit.
Sure.
And I can understand that. In fact, I'd probably go farther. I don't like it when people have their dogs, tied up outside in the cold and the heat. But the problem is that if you take away the rights of people to fail, make stupid decisions, at the same time you're taking away their rights to make good decisions and succeed. And, where do you end it? And so I don't know. I think that there has to be a little bit of maybe a lot of thinking before laws are made just to take away somebody's right to do stupid things.
I suppose, but me being Ben, an avid lover of the animals, in fact, I relate more to them than people, I just don't get it. You talk to vets and this happens, and if we don't allow people in the back of pickup trucks, although I am starting to see that again, why would we allow animals?
Well, why would we allow them to be slaughtered? I'm almost a vegetarian. I hardly eat meat. I don't hunt. But last thing I'm going to do is try to take away somebody else's right to hunt, somebody else's right to eat a hamburger, and those cows that are lined up one after another to be slaughtered.
Well.
So I think
and it's funny because I when I look at the cattle on the highway all the time, or not on the highway, I think the same thing, but I don't have the courage of your convictions.
Well, I think you have to be careful when you're talking about taking away somebody's right to be stupid, somebody's right to make mistakes, because there's no end to that. In fact, I think that's a big difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans want to make everything illegal that could lead to harm, where the Republicans are saying, wait a minute, people have a right to do things that they want to do, even though it might not be the best thing, as long as, somebody's not, somebody's house isn't being affected. And if they are, they have a right to protest, and through the courts or whatever. And there's a certain Christianity about this too. When people make mistakes, you have to be able to forgive them and help them, instead of just saying, no, we're gonna call the police on you. We're gonna make a law against that.
Again, I can't see the point for the dogs. I don't get it. I really don't.
I know you don't, and I don't either.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean there should be a law against it. Maybe there should, but I don't know. I'd have to give that a lot of thought. I wouldn't be quick to do that just because that comes out to special rights, right? You don't want this, you don't want that, but we do need to make a law against this.
Ben, appreciate you listening. You've given me a lot to think about. That's why I'm not yapping back at you.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Well, it's been a while since this special young man has called in. We remember him from his appearance at Independence Indoor Shooting when we put him on the air, and he said, I don't want to talk. Two Fly Bry returns with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
I always want to talk. I just, sometimes I'm I guess I was too early in the morning for me.
Tell me about it.
Hey, I think the scooters, they were a nuisance to me. I almost hit two people who just go zipping across Marine Road at Ustick. And this is like at 11 o'clock at night. One guy was riding around with them. They have a light on them, though. But this guy didn't have a light. He was just jamming across the road at like 1 o'clock on Saturday morning. And they were still out there ready to use. And I was like, yeah, that's not good at all. And then you see a bunch of kids on them. They don't have their helmets that they should have. Yeah, they're a nuisance. I don't think that should be something that is just left around. And plus, they block the sidewalks and stuff like that. And so if you do want to walk out there, you have to go around those things. So that's not a good thing.
Well, what do you make of this? I mean, how lazy are we as a society that we're going to import the scooters?
Well, they need to encourage bike. I like the idea of bikes, walking. Right now, I'm on a fitness program kind of thing right now, so I'm more minded toward that. If you would have asked me 5 weeks ago, I'd be like, yeah, give me a scooter. I'll laze myself around town. But I'm not like that right now.
Well, they're going to, you know what they're going to do. They're going to misbehave and zip around and be obnoxious. And really, what is the benefit except the scooter company,
Well, you have a challenge with, capitalism and entrepreneurship of a business wanting to make some money and how to measure that against, decent, basic public safety and stuff like that. Sure, you want the scooters out, put out these little, buy or rent out the land that's off the sidewalk that you have to have these things locked into. There you go. That's what I would say they have to do.
All right, Captain Fitness, thank you.
You bet. Take care.
Appreciate you, our great friend, Two Fly Bry. Well, speaking of Charlie Atlas, it's Mike Miniger with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Glad you could find time to call back the little show here in the morning.
The big guy. Well, I was busy. I was looking at my new twin turbo motor for my next boat.
I understand that. It's all about priorities.
Yeah. It's all about burning fossil fuel, isn't it?
It once was, yes.
It once was, yeah. So the scooter deal, I predicted it the minute I saw one. Just not that I'm smart. It's just I'm old. So I saw those things. A buddy of mine had one, and I went, well, enjoy it while you can. And it wasn't even a week later, and it was the new craze, right? And I'm with Two Fly Bry, and he did bring me a car to fix once. He's a cool dude. But so NASCAR, you always want to talk NASCAR, don't you?
I used to when there used to be men in NASCAR.
I know. Isn't it weird? The Dems have even infiltrated NASCAR, it seems like.
I mean,
the last bastion of manhood.
You remember when they used to make fun of Jeff Gordon all the time, and in the end, he was the senior citizen, and now you've got all these kids running NASCAR. I can't cheer for him. And, when NASCAR decided to leave the South and become politically correct, that's my new thing now, the raspberry.
Yeah, well, that's cute. I'd like to see in person doing it, but somebody on social media yesterday they were talking about, so there's a new crew chief change, right? Chad Knaus got pulled off at Jimmy Johnson for 2019. It's old 7-time gets a new guy, and we know he had a dismal season. Jimmy Johnson did, so it's time to break up the dynamic duo. But my prediction is, and it's probably worth water, but I think we'll see Jimmy Johnson retire in the next 3 years. I think he'll be done, because that seems to be the trend. You got Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, you've got Carl Edwards, you got Dale Earnhardt
This
Jr.
really has nothing to do with the topic, and I've got my boss here waving at me going, Miller, do I have to come in there and take over? I mean, why are you talking? You're making me look bad.
Okay, tell the suit. We'll change the topic. I'm well-versed in every topic. You want physics, science, you want politics.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Kevin. I wasn't listening.
You weren't listening. You never admit that you're not listening. You know the rule. It's time to pander. Kevin, you're the best ever. Kevin, we love you.
No, you got plenty to do that. I enjoy the show. It's just I can't carry the earbud around with you in my ear all the time, and so I have my little windows that I can listen. So what are the topics of the day? I'm a little upset about, I got to be honest, about Taylor Swift turncoat.
Well, we
covered. Then they go.
Look, we covered that yesterday. Thanks for listening.
Oh my gosh!
And by the way, yeah, we covered that yesterday. So
what's today's topics?
Well, you're going to have to listen to find out. I got my friend calling in from Florida. It's been destroyed, and I'm sitting here talking to you. This is real serious stuff that we do here on this program.
I know. Call me Casper. I'm out. I mean,
Mike Miniger.
I get it.
Mike Miniger's Auto Body, located in the GC Garden City. Best deals on auto bodies. See Mike today for a good time.
Yes, Earl Shive, $39.95. We paint them complete. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Mike Miniger. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, I love Mike Miniger, but he's talking Jimmy Johnson and NASCAR. Let's go live to Panama City, Florida. Our great friend, veteran journalist, veteran reporter, just an all-around veteran, Rob Williams, joining us with the aftermath of Hurricane Michael on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir. Welcome back.
Good morning. Good to be with you. Glad you're not here. It's not a fun place anymore.
Panama City, known for a good time east of the Great River. People go there for their spring breaks, their shenanigans, their bachelor parties, their last chance at decadence. What's it like today? It ain't looking good for the phone, that's for sure.
Well, Kevin, I'm absolutely sitting under a cell tower. I am in the shadow of a cell tower.
Oof.
And it is, I'm sorry, it says I'm on extended service and I got 3 bars. I don't know what else I can do. I will tell you this, as we're sitting here looking at U.S. Highway 98, I've just counted 10 more utility trucks that have rolled in. The bucket trucks, so they can get up and string line. There's one that sets the truck that sets the power poles, generators, welders, you bet, and they're just rolling on in. There's somebody else that does tree trimming. They're coming in, and it's just been nonstop. Every couple, 3 minutes, there's another convoy of trucks. They're starting wherever they tell them to start and get all these people, get power back to the people.
You've been to these places before. I've dabbled in that. You've got extensive experience with hurricanes, being in them, in the eye of them, flying into them, covering them, the aftermath. It's a little creepy afterwards because, and for people in Idaho, imagine Fairview Avenue with every other business, their buildings destroyed, every tree torn down as you're driving down the highway. That's how I can remember going in after Katrina. But, law enforcement, first responders, they're stretched to the limit. So you and others, Rob, you're kind of on your own. What's that like?
Well, for many, many years when I was with CBS, I had a list. And for a while, I actually kept a bag packed for hurricane season. I went out and bought extra clothes. So I had 2 T-shirts, a golf shirt, a couple of shorts. You have this checklist of everything you need, including bug spray, including, a spare 3 or 4 bottles of water. And you never know when you're going to need it. And life here is, because of the way the storm hit, and you've got to remember this, it went in at an angle to the shoreline, and the where Panama City Beach is located is on a northwest to southeast angle. It's not a flat east-west coast. And it went off of that a little bit, so what they call an acute or an obtuse angle, and dodged Panama City downtown, went around to the east of that, and then went up, and between Panama City and Interstate 10 are a couple of places that have 4-way flashing stop signs, and that's it. There are about 1 billion pine trees. It's all a pine plantation, and it goes for miles and miles. A lot of white-tailed deer and a lot of pine trees, and they took the worst of the entire hurricane. And it'll take them a year to harvest all the stuff that's been knocked over. So, but it's bad enough. Little villages like Mexico Beach, like Port St. Joe, really got whacked. Apalachicola, famous for their oysters. The river runs, actually from Atlanta, it's the Chattahoochee River, runs down, forms the state line, and the river was going from south to north yesterday. So much water was being pushed in by the hurricane. It'll be interesting to see what that does to what remains of Apalachicola's oysters.
Rob Williams, always on the scene. We appreciate you making time in between your 75 national hits this morning, sir.
Oh, come on, man. It's just me. You're my buddy. We do that for you. And we just have to get you down here one summer for a hurricane, and you can really see how, I mean, it's like pre-dermabrasion when you stand on the beach. and you talked about Earl Scheib, $39.95. For those of us who've had news units parked on the beach when the storms are rolling in and the winds are going very, very fast,
Well, we lost Rob again. Rob, we appreciate you. Thank you, brother. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. To the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, gemstatepatriot.com. Rob, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Another interesting and talented show. You have so many great people on. You know, on yesterday's show, I talked about how the real problem with the growing tide of liberalism lies in our education system. And I believe that is where the seeds are planted for this disease, and they have grown into what we have today. My proof came yesterday when I got a phone call from one of your listeners after my comment, complimenting me about thanking me for talking about this issue because he has a 15-year-old daughter. She goes to a very prominent high school here in Meridian. His daughter was in a social studies class where one of the assignments was to watch 3 hours of news programs, but they were specifically told not to watch Fox News. PBS and Face the Nation were fine, but they get no points for Fox News. So his daughter came home and asked her dad, why would they not let me watch Fox News? And he proceeded to email a teacher to get the question answered about her assignment. The teacher said that this was a test to determine political and religious beliefs. She said the test was not scientific, no records would be kept, but it would tell them where they would fall in a political spectrum. So when the results came in, the quiz indicated to the young lady that her thinking, according to the quiz, was that of an old white man. She came home and told her dad the story, and he is still communicating with the teacher about this quiz. I told him to take this to the next level and communicate his feelings about the program to the principal. Now, this is exactly what we were talking about yesterday. I presume you've heard of John Dewey of the Dewey Decimal System, correct?
Know him well, yes.
Okay. He studied education in the Soviet Union and was enthralled by what they were accomplishing and is considered the father of modern public school education / government education by public school educators. His principal argument for public school education was the principal virtue of public education is to unteach the errors learned in churches and homes. I would say that's a pretty profound statement. And it should send chills up and down the spines of anyone whose children are now in the public school system. Hopefully I'm vindicated from all my comments yesterday.
What's wrong with being white? I got to run, but thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
Take care. Mark and Eagle, we don't have a lot of time, but we wanted to get to you before the big break. Good morning, sir.
I'll make it quick, Kevin. I agree with you 100% on the deal with the trucks and the ding-dong John Wayne night thinkers that think it's cool to drive around with their dog sliding around the back of their truck. I've witnessed 2 times in my life dogs flying out of the back of a truck. One time I had to swerve to avoid it. Your dog person, hey, you out there who loves to do this stuff out, unlike a hunter who might put the dogs in the back of a carrier or whatever, but you people out there who think this is neat, this is cool, it is not cool because first off, your dog, this becomes a deadly weapon flying at my car or anybody else around me trying to swerve to avoid it. And, you know, you're going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour down the road, that dog comes flying out. If it's a big enough dog, it's going to do some damage to your car. So to me, outside of farmers and ranchers out in rural areas who do that, to me, that's fine. Not on a public street or a highway that everybody else uses. And I'll let you go at that. You have a good day, sir.
All right, Mark, thank you. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Kevin, simply making cross-tying your dogs a lot prevents them from getting near the edge of the truck on either side Fines apply. Thank you. Well, thank you, Chris, for pointing that out. Look, we're going to agree to disagree. I just don't see the value in it. But look, I am not a person that's right all the time. I just love dogs and don't want to see them hurt, especially on the highways. Never mind Chinden or Fairview or any of the streets downtown, but on the connector and the highways when you're going 80, 90 miles an hour, just not a need for it, in my opinion.